A warm welcome from Munich at the Data Protection Café. Today's topic is data protection and ID copies. Many places in Germany, both private and public, require ID copies. In the online sector, online verification procedures are often used. Today, we want to take a closer look at the conditions under which this is possible, in detail. Let's take a look at the legal framework in the Identity Card Act. Here is Section 20, Paragraph 2, in a slightly abridged version for your reference. The ID can only and exclusively be photographed by the ID holder or with the ID holder's explicit consent. If personal data is collected from the ID by photocopying, the entity collecting the data may only do so with the consent of the ID holder. The provisions of general data protection law remain unaffected. So how can the affected person ensure that only the necessary and relevant data is collected? And what are the practical and important conditions that apply here? When does presenting a copy of an ID even come into consideration? Well, that is the case when there is no other way to identify the person concerned. For example, in the online sector, if the affected person is informed about already stored data, sending a one-time password to an email address can be considered for verification purposes. An ID copy may be required. In businesses where an ID copy is required, it should also be noted that, as a standard practice, the ID should only be presented and not copied, such as a rule, generally speaking, it is sufficient enough to document that an ID was viewed and the accuracy of the data was confirmed. If a copy is unavoidable, unnecessary information should be redacted by the ID holder or the person copying the ID. The ID copy must also be promptly and permanently deleted once it is no longer needed. Exceptions particularly apply to the financial services industry. There are special laws that specifically require the creation and storage of ID copies in particular. And for service providers offering online verification procedures, there is a requirement to pay special attention to technical and organizational measures, such as to protect against unauthorized data access. To quote Camus, "A man is always a victim of his truths." And with that, ID copies are only permissible in the most exceptional cases. Usually, generally presenting the ID is sufficient. Possibly the data should be redacted, and if an ID copy was indeed necessary, it should be deleted immediately and permanently once the identification process is complete. What else has happened? The police in Bavaria definitely want to pave the way for this nationwide as well. More about it in the link in the description. Enjoy reading.